I overheard my influencer fiance talking to her friends. He's just an IT worm I keep for money. They all laughed and mocked me even more. The next day, I left without a word, just leaving a quick note. Worms hate chickens. I was that guy, the tech nerd who worked 14-hour days in the back end of an IT security firm. Clean shirts, clean code, and a clean bank account. Amelia? She was the firecracker. Blonde, loud, and permanently glued to Instagram like it was a second limb. 215K followers, all convinced we were the dream couple. My role? Boyfriend-shaped prop with a stable income. For a while, I told myself the red flags were just part of her brand. The weird laughs, the constant selfies, the way she never tagged me in a single post. You're the private part of my life, she'd say with a kiss and a smirk that never reached her eyes. I ignored it all because I loved her, or maybe I loved the idea of her. Either way, I was in it deep, engaged, ring on her finger, house in both names. Then came that night. And let me tell you, when you hear your fiancé refer to you as a worm behind your back, laughing with her friends like it's some kind of fucking roast battle, that's the moment something inside you snaps. I met Amelia at a New Year's Eve party hosted by a friend of a friend. One of those crammed apartment raggers where you either get drunk, get lucky, or get COVID. I got all three. She was magnetic, bouncy, loud, dressed like a Vogue ad shot in Hellfire. I was immediately out of my depth, which of course made her more interested. You're so different, she'd said, sipping champagne while perched on the kitchen counter like it was a throne. You don't try so hard. I didn't realize then that being different just meant being manageable. I was the stable one, the paycheck, the one who'd listened to her rants about algorithm changes and brands ghosting her. When her influencer gigs dried up during the pandemic, guess who picked up the slack? But I didn't mind at first. I figured relationships were about balance. She was chaos, I was order. She was fire, I was logic. It worked. At least, it looked like it did. We moved in together, got engaged in a cheesy rooftop proposal, and posted all the right photos. But when the camera wasn't on, the cracks were wide enough to fall into. I just didn't see how deep they went until I heard it myself. It was a Friday night. I come home early from the office, laptop bag slung over my shoulder, a bottle of red in my hand, Amelia's favorite. Thought I'd surprise her. Maybe even cook something. I know, laugh it up. Worms can cook too. I stepped through the door and heard music thumping from upstairs. Laughter too. Her friends were over. Again, I crept up the stairs, careful not to creak that one squeaky board she always nagged me to fix. Voices filtered from the guest room she used for filming. The door was cracked just enough for sound to pour through. No, seriously, he's like, not even a man. He's just my little IT worm. I keep him around for the bills. Like, what else is he good for? Tech support and Taco Tuesdays. Cue explosive laughter from three other voices. One of her friends, probably Kayla, judging by the fake Valley Girl accent, chimed in. Girl, I don't know how you fuck that. He looks like the guy who installs your modem and then disappears forever. More cackling. My pulse turned into static. I felt like I was glitching, buffering on the inside. And he proposed with that ugly ring, Amelia added. Like, I get it, he's trying, but it's giving pathetic. Ugh, I can't wait until this TikTok brand deal goes through. Once I'm out of here, I'm booking it to LA and ghosting his wormy ass. Another friend joked, better make sure he doesn't encrypt your heart before that. More laughing. Someone snorted. It might have been me. I couldn't tell. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Maybe 10 years. Then I walked downstairs. Quiet. Robotic. I left the wine on the kitchen counter next to the unopened box of takeout I'd picked up on the way. Sat in the dark for an hour pretending not to exist. She came downstairs eventually, surprised to see me. Hey, babe, she said like nothing happened, swiping through her phone. You're home early. I nodded, said nothing. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did, but didn't care. She was too busy posting a boomerang of her and her girls, captioned my queens. That night, I couldn't sleep. My brain played her words on loop like a cursed playlist I couldn't delete. IT worm. Pathetic. Ghosting. The laughter. Always the laughter. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw things or beg or give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. I woke up at 5:42 a.m. and stared at the ceiling like I was waiting for it to blink first. The bed felt cold, sterile. Amelia was snoring lightly next to me. Her fake eyelashes stuck to the pillow like two dead spiders. I got up without a sound. No dai, no teatrix. Just movement. Quiet, efficient, like deleting a corrupted file. I packed only what mattered. My laptop, a few clothes, toothbrush, passport, hard drives, backup wallet. Left behind the suits she hated, the expensive colognes she picked out, and the ring box she'd buried under her makeup drawer after the proposal. At 6:12 a.m., I wrote the note. I thought about saying more, dropping quotes from her little rose session. Maybe something poetic. But that would have been for her, and I didn't know her a fucking thing. Instead, I wrote exactly what I felt in my own language. Worms hate chickens. No signature. She'd know. I stuck it to the fridge with a pineapple magnet from her bachelorette trip to Tulum. Fitting. Then I walked out the front door and didn't look back. Not once. I drove straight to my parents' place 3 towns over, their Wi-Fi passwords still saved in my phone. My mom opened the door wearing a robe and half a face of moisturizer. James, she blinked. What's going on? I just hugged her. Hard. Like I hadn't realized how empty I'd felt until someone finally asked if I was okay. We didn't talk about it right away. I crashed in my old room, still plastered with sci-fi posters and that stupid trophy I won for a coding competition in high school. I stared at the ceiling again. Different ceiling. This one didn't feel like it was judging me. Around noon, my phone started blowing up. Where the fuck are you? Amelia. What does that note even mean? Are you okay? Amelia. James. Seriously. Answer me. I powered it off and threw in a drawer. Chickens don't deserve replies. Later that day, her friends started calling too. The same ones who mocked me. Suddenly all concerned, asking if everything's all right, and we were just joking around. By evening, I had a message from my boss saying Amelia had called the office, worried. Said I was missing. Tried to spin it like I had a mental episode. I emailed him back. I'm fine. Taking some personal time. Please ignore any calls from that number. He replied, take all the time you need. Proud of you. That hit harder than I expected. I didn't cry. Didn't rage. Didn't even fantasize about revenge yet. That would come later. For now, I just sat in the garden with my dad, drinking cheap beer and listening to birds argue in the trees. Worms hate chickens, I muttered. He looked at me, then laughed so hard he nearly choked on his drink. Damn right we do, son. A few days later, it started with a knock at my parents' door. Sunday afternoon. Sunlight spilled lazily through the living room curtains. Mom was crocheting something lumpy and green that she swore would become a blanket. Dad was passed out on the recliner, snoring like a faulty leaf blower. I opened the door expecting Amazon or another confused delivery driver. Instead, I got a full-blown jump scare, Amelia's parents. Trent and Donna Harrington, Mr. Investment Portfolio and Mrs. Botox Wine Mom. The kind of couple that wears matching polos on vacation and always refers to waiters by their first names. James, Donna gasped like I'd been pulled out of a burning building. Thank God. We've been so worried. Trent gave me a stiff nod, hands clasped in that awkward, businesslike way that always screamed, I'd rather be golfing. Mind if we come in? He asked. I didn't answer, just moved aside. They stepped into the living room like they were entering a crime scene. Mom looked up and narrowed her eyes slightly. Dad snorted awake and blinked at them like he was trying to place a face from a bad dream. Trent, Donna, Mom said evenly, didn't expect to see you too. They offered those tight, guilty smiles. I led them to the couch while Dad muttered, this ought to be good, and shuffled to the kitchen. Donna sat first. No hesitation. Practiced. James, she started, placing a French manicured hand over mine like we were suddenly close. We need to talk. About Amelia. I said nothing. She's not okay, Donna continued. She said you just vanished. Left without saying a word. She's been crying, not sleeping. Her whole routine's upside down. She's hurting, Trent added. She told us you'd been acting distant for weeks. Something about work pressure? Burnout? Honestly, James, we were worried you might be dealing with some mental health stuff. I've been there. Nice spin, I thought. Gaslight with a smile. Mom glanced at me, eyebrow raised. Burnout. I leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes locked on Donna. That's what she told you. She nodded earnestly. She said you had a breakdown, a panic thing, and that maybe you just needed space. She wanted to respect that. I snorted. That's rich. She's lying. There was no breakdown. I left because your daughter treated me like a walking ATM with a laptop. Trent sat straighter. Now wait. No, you wait. My voice cut through the air like a wire. I came home early Friday night, walked in on her and her friends upstairs talking about me. And not just casual shit talking. No, they tore me apart like I was the office freak. Mom leaned forward, silent but locked in. She called me her IT worm, laughed about how I'm just a paycheck, said she was only staying until she landed a brand deal and could run off to LA. One of her friends even asked how she could sleep with someone like me. Donna's face crumbled like a faulty filter. James, I'm sure she didn't mean. She did, and they meant every fucking word, because they said it like they'd said it before. It wasn't new. It was a joke they'd passed around more than once. Trent rubbed his chin. Maybe he was just venting a bad moment. No, a bad moment is forgetting to buy milk. Not mocking your fiancé like he's a disposable piece of shit. Mom turned to them, her voice sharp and clear. And you think he owes her an explanation? After that, Donna's lips pursed. We just think maybe this doesn't have to be the end. She made it the end, I said. The second she laughed at me behind my back and called it a joke. Donna tried again. She's spiraling. Not eating. She's losing followers, James. Her TikTok engagement is tanking. She needs a damn therapist, I snapped. Not a reconciliation. There it was. The flash of real Donna. The mask slipped for just a second, replaced by something cold and calculating. She says she still loves you. She also said she was going to ghost me. What part of that screams love? Trent stood up, looking like he wanted a pace, but was too repressed to allow it. You've been with her for 4 years. You're engaged. You build a life together. You're going to throw all that away over something she say. I laughed, dry and humorless. She threw it away. I just put it in the trash where it belonged. He looked like he wanted to argue, but Donna pulled at his sleeve. She stood, a fake smile trying to mask the panic. Think about it, James. Please, you're both young. People make mistakes. Sure, I said, walking them to the door. Some people make mistakes. Others are just chickens in designer heels. They froze. Worms hate chickens, right? I added. That's what I wrote. Pretty on brand, no? Trent looked confused. Donna looked pissed. They left without another word. Back inside, Mom muttered, unbelievable. Dad handed me another beer. They want to sweep it under the rug. I nodded. She's been doing that since the day we met. You're better off, Mom said, grabbing my hand. Now you can start over. Clean. Dad raised his beer. To the worm, uprising. I clinked mine against his. Long live the worms. That night, I slept like a rock for the first time in years. And when I dreamed, it wasn't of her. It was of freedom. 2 years can change everything, if you let them. After the breakup, I did what any freshly unshackled man with a decade of repressed ambition and a grudge-powered processor would do. I buried myself in code, caffeine, and creation. That's where Mia came in. We'd worked together for years. Same IT firm, different planets. She was back-end brilliance and brutal honesty in one. Always tucked behind dual monitors. Hair in a bun. Zero tolerance for bullshit. People called her Ice Queen until they realized she was just allergic to mediocrity. We weren't close back then, but after I ghosted Amelia and went nuclear on my social life, Mia found me in the server room one night at 11 p.m., knee-deep in Red Bull and revenge-driven programming. You look like shit, she said. Feel worse, I replied. Good. That means you're doing something important. Come on, show me what you're building. And just like that, we started working side by side. After hours on weekends, sometimes entire sleep-deprived weekends. The project? A real-time, decentralized threat detection platform. AI integrated. Self-learning. The kind of thing that could replace half the bloated security software on the market. We named it Spectre. 6 months in, we brought in 2 more devs, Kushal and Serena, both equally sick of corporate deadweight. Together, we formed Nullbyte Labs, and by the end of our first year, we had something nobody else had. a system that actually worked. It didn't just detect threats. It predicted them. And most importantly, it learned from them autonomously. We launched a beta version with a few mid-sized clients. The results? Unreal. From there, it was dominoes. One VC meeting turned into five. Our first funding round overshot by 200%. Tech blogs called us the next unicorn built in a basement. We called them late to the party. And throughout it all, Mia was there. Never flashy, never fake. Just focused. We split equity 40-40 between us. Kushal and Serena each got 10%. Fair, clean, transparent. Like everything with Mia. Somewhere between 3 a.m. debugging sessions and endless Thai takeout, something changed. We stopped just finishing each other's code comments. The silences became comfortable. The glances became longer. She started staying over, first on the couch, then in my bed, then, well, permanently. One morning, as we walked into the new Nullbyte HQ. Yes, we had an actual office now, with frosted glass and everything. Mia turned to me and said, "You're not a worm, James." I raised an eyebrow. "You're a goddamn hydra. They cut off your head, and you grew back with fangs." I didn't know what to say to that. So I kissed her. By our second year, we'd signed 3 Fortune 500 clients, turned down a buyout from a Big Five company, and were getting invites to speak at conferences we used to watch on YouTube. And Amelia? Funny thing happened. One of our junior analysts found her old account trying to apply for a PR job under a fake name. Turns out, the influencer pipeline had dried up. Algorithms changed. Followers stopped caring. Sponsorships ghosted her for a change. Poetic, really. I never responded, because Mia and I were too busy planning version 2.0 of Spectre and maybe a trip to Iceland. Worms don't crawl forever. Eventually, they learn to fly. It wasn't some grand announcement. No champagne. No dramatic Instagram post. Just a Tuesday night in our office kitchen, halfway through reheating Thai leftovers, when Serena walked in, took one look at us leaning against the counter, too close, too comfortable, and said, finally. Kushal peeked in from his desk. "It's about damn time. Y'all been eye-fucking each other since version 1.3. Mia's muked. We've been discreet. I shrugged. We're professionals. Professionals who made out in the server room last Friday, Serena said, grabbing a soda from the fridge. We laughed because, yeah, we weren't hiding it anymore. We didn't have to. That night, Mia and I walked back to our apartment, the one we technically still called mine, though half her stuff had migrated there months ago. I held her hand. She didn't pull away. No performance. No pretense. We got inside, kicked off our shoes, and she curled up next to me on the couch with a laptop and her always-present iced coffee. "This," she said, "is the real power couple energy. You sure I'm not too wormy?" She kissed me without looking up. "You're a Python-scripted menace. And I like that. We didn't need fireworks. We had code, trust, and a shared Google Calendar. And honestly, that was better than anything Amelia ever staged for the gram." A week after our funding announcement went viral, Amelia finally cracked. I hadn't blocked her email, mostly because I'd forgotten it existed. Subject line, "Just wow. Can we talk?" The body was textbook damage control. She said she was proud of me, that she'd always believed in my potential, that she missed us, that she was in a different place now and ready for something real. It was signed with a heart emoji. I didn't reply. 3 hours later, a DM landed on Nullbyte's official Instagram from her backup account. "James, please. I messed up. I was stupid. Can we meet? Just to talk." Mia saw it before I did. She turned her phone to me and just raised one eyebrow. I took her phone, opened the DM, typed a response. "Worms remember." Then I hit block. Later that day, I looked up her influencer pages. Most of her sponsors were gone. Engagement was trash. Her last video had fewer likes than a random meme repost. She tried to rebrand, raw, unfiltered, back to basics. It reeked of desperation. One of her latest posts said, "Growth comes from loss, #healing journey." Funny. I guess you can only fake authenticity for so long before people stop buying it. Just like I did. These days, I wake up next to Mia in a loft we designed together. Equal parts clean code and chaos. We work when we want, travel when we feel like it, and build only what we believe in. Spectre 2.0 launches next quarter. After that, we're taking a month off in Iceland, maybe scouting spots for a little cabin in the mountains. No filters, no hashtags, no pretending, just real love, real life, and the kind of peace that comes when you finally delete the people who corrupted your system. Worms don't hate chickens anymore. We just outgrow them. Forever.